start with strategic point of view, a strategic perspective on artificial intelligence in project management, in particular together with Edoardo Degli Innocenti from Young Platform and Francesco Sapio from Autostrade per l'Italia. We will see the case of the digitization of Autostrade per l'Italia. So it is actually what comes before, let me say, the AI introduction in companies and in project management in particular, what we will see today. Now, I don't want to steal much time to Edoardo and Francesco. I don't know if Catherine, you want to say something also for introduce yourself.
Hello, Catherine.
Hi, I just made it. I'm in Luzern in a hotel and I just entered my room, so I'm sorry for the delay. My name is Katrin Reshram. I'm actually a board member of the Swiss Project Management Association, and I'm trying to do my PhD on this topic, so I'm pretty much interested, and I'm very happy that we can kick off with the first webinar. So I hope you all enjoy it, and hand over back to Costanza. Thank you.
Okay, so I will leave the floor to Edoardo and Francesco. So welcome, and we'll now listen to your presentation.
Thank you very much. I'm Edoardo Degli Innocenti from Young Platform and a former employee of Autostrade per l'Italia, where I did my mission while doing my MBA at Collège des Ingénieurs. Autostrade per l'Italia was an incredible experience. Talking about artificial intelligence, project management, but above everything, I would say a great digital transformation experience. It was really compressed because we had a very short time and a lot of stuff to do. And I'm really happy to have here Francesco Sapio, who is one of my mentors, I love to say, and also who really saw the potential, the huge potential that a digital transformation plan would have, bringing Autostrade to a completely different level on leveraging the technology that was coming. The technology such as artificial intelligence that we know very well, but all the use cases, and it's not easy to implement it. It's not easy to bring it to a very huge company such as Autostrade is, and the whole group, because it's not just Autostrade per l'Italia, but many different smaller companies that are connected with Autostrade. So now I leave the floor to Francesco to present himself and to start also this presentation, because everything started from him actually, and I came a bit later. And I helped Francesco in starting this digital transformation Autostrade, and then we will see also the evolution of the whole plan and what's actually doing now Autostrade in 2022.
Good evening. Thank you very much to everybody. I'm Francesco Sapio. I am the director of the first division of Autostrade per l'Italia. I manage about 400 kilometers of motorways, the most complex in Italy, because here in Liguria and Piemonte, we have a lot of bridges and viaducts and tunnels, about 300 tunnels and 500 bridges. And so, as Edoardo said, Autostrade per l'Italia is now in a transition phase. How can I say, between an old way of managing infrastructures and a new way of managing infrastructure. And this transition is mostly a digital transition. If you wait a moment, I will help myself with some slide just to talk to you about the digital transformation in Autostrade per l'Italia. As you can see, we have a network that has an average of 50 years of old. And we have also some motorways that has now about 90 years. And so even if it was connected to a tragic event that was the collapse of the Morandi Bridge in 2018, all the world of the infrastructures managers decided to review their methodology of management. And so you can also see in these graphics that from 1985 to 1995, we have an increasing of our traffic of almost 60%. And from 1995 to 2019, another 35%. So the tragic event and also the condition of the motorways that generate a need of a new model of managing infrastructures. And so you can see in this picture what we are now working to, and we are just imagining a digital infrastructure that will be user-centric, connected, and with digital and smart roads. So we are improving our systems of sensors and cameras. We are installing charging stations. We are designing a hub for shared mobility and to integrate also the move, so that the moving on our motorways will be not only a simple move from an origin to a destination, but it will be a real experience of mobility. Okay, and so we are investing on research on new materials, and we are investing on autonomous vehicles and vehicles connected to our infrastructure, to new empowerment of solar generation, energy generation by solar roadways. And we are also changing, and this is the example that I want to illustrate to you, our mood of make maintenance. Okay, and so we have a very complex network that is very, very old, and we decided to start this transformation on two big ways. Okay, one is the way of digitalizing our assets, and the other way is digitalizing the organization. Okay, in our financial plan, we have between CapEx and OpEx an expense of about 200 million that are about 50% for assets and 50% for organization. So digitalizing our processes and all the rules, the documents, and the procurement, etc. And the asset, because we need an infrastructure that starts that has to give us key performance indicator that in the past weren't controlled, they weren't used. Okay, now we are working on about 35 products that are useful for this digital transformation, for this transition. Okay, just to say that when we start, it was about July of 2020, and in the DAI score from 0 to 100, we were positioned as digitally beginners. Okay, at 21. Okay, with the work of the last year or about 1 year and a half, in December 2021, we were positioned as digitally competent, but our ambition is to become digital leader in the 2025. This is the 7 points are the 7 main values of our company. Is the value chain, you know, and maybe the most important project that is also very near to engineering, project management, and maintenance, so operations, is Argo project. Okay, as you can see, Argo project is very near to 2 values that are the excellence in operations and the digitalization of asset and organization. And Argo is a new way of maintenance. So it's based on an asset management software that is produced by IBM, and his target is to consolidate information on key artworks related to the surveillance of our bridges and tunnels, maintenance, and all the sensor systems that we are going to improve. His target is to pass from maintenance that is based on detected conditions, so what we see now, we have to pass in a new way of managing infrastructure that has at its base predictive analysis. And so to do this is very, very important, and Edoardo can also tell you in more details the use of artificial intelligence. And so this is our main experience. I don't know if Edoardo wants to add something.
Yeah, absolutely. And really thank you, Francesco, for this introduction, because actually you highlighted really clearly that Autostrade is doing a double digital transformation. One is for the organizational point of view, and the other one is on the assets. And we are talking about a lot of assets. Even Italian government was difficult, you know, for our government to have a clear idea of how many different bridges we have, how many different assets we have, and of course we should start focusing on the bigger one, the 1,950 something, right? Big bridges, and I would like also now to share a story that is behind this digital transformation, because as you saw from Francesco's presentation, all the different charts were starting from 2020, right? The big journey started from 2020, but we have a story to tell you, because actually we started from 2018 with a small group of people inside the company that wanted so badly to do this digital transformation, but was even difficult to say that name, because internally there's a change management challenge to face, actually. So now I'm sharing also my screen to give you really a glimpse of what happened before this implementation. And I hope now you can see my screen, right? So here comes more, let's say, the juicy and different part compared to many other presentations you can see. And I would really like to highlight how on digital transformation, at least, we actually don't have a real choice of whether we digitally transform, but it's more about how well we do it, actually, right? And in this case, Autostrade is facing a big one and is managing this in a good way. And we also will try to analyze how Autostrade changed its strategic vision on digital transformation before 2020. And I want to just give you an idea of what does it mean to disrupt many different businesses, because if you take, for instance, those big companies, right, they're really advanced, innovative companies such as Uber, Alibaba, Google, Airbnb, Netflix, or WhatsApp, they are all, you know, the world's largest taxi company, the world's most valuable retailer, the world's largest smartphone OS vendor. Airbnb is the world's largest accommodation provider. Netflix is the world's largest movie house. And WhatsApp is the world's largest phone company. But actually, if you pay attention, you will clearly understand that actually Uber owns no taxi, Alibaba owns no inventory, Google owns no proprietary OS, Airbnb owns no real estate, that Netflix owns actually no cinemas, and WhatsApp no telco infrastructure. So this is what digital transformation is bringing, really disruptive, leveraging technology to disrupt businesses. And actually, for instance, just to give you a really small example, Uber was the first application that was leveraging GPS position inside iPhones, actually. So a good way to leverage this hardware penetration that was in that time. It was not so common before smartphones in our pockets, right? And so every time, what I'm trying to say is that every time you are trying to do digital transformation, you should always try to be more clear of what kind of digital transformation we are doing. And Francesco did it very, very well in Autostrade per Italia, trying to, and now you considering what you heard before, you can, in your mind, understand really what does it mean to go into detail and to specify what kind of digital transformation you're doing. This is really important to have a clear idea of what's going on there. But we have also to face numbers to take into consideration that almost 70% of digital transformation projects do not reach their goal. So there's high chances that digital transformation projects actually fail, and we're talking about huge, huge money here. But anyway, again, this doesn't mean that you don't have to try. That's why we, as a small team, were really trying to do digital transformation inside Autostrade. And for us, we follow some simple rules that we want to share with you, because we were taking care of data analytics, we were taking care of the core tech stack. Of course, is important also talent and organization, and this is a lot about processes and operations. And this is really a small framework you can bring with you every time you want to do some projects about digital transformation, because here talent, organization, processes, operation, data analytics, core tech stack are the enabler, the key enabler that are working inside the ecosystem. And Autostrade had to open the company to the ecosystem, to hire new talents, to change its process operations, to embrace data analytics, and to change the core tech stack, because for a better value proposition of the products, the services that Autostrade was giving, this is really crucial on that side. And starting from talent and organizations, there's this beautiful partnership that Autostrade per Italia had with, and is actually is ongoing, with Collège des Ingénieurs, which is a business school founded in Paris some time ago in the 80s, and then also they are also in Munich, and then lately in Turin. So it's in France, Germany, and Italy, and all the people are mixing together every year and doing their MBA at this business school. But the peculiar thing of this business school is the motto, learning through action. In Latin is qui agit int legit. And what does it mean? It means that while you are doing this MBA, you are actually doing a mission. So there's a company that is sponsoring your mission, and they give you a clear project to follow. On the other side, they are paying your tuition fee, and usually at the end of the MBA, which lasts 9 months, more or less, you get hired into the company because the company invested, of course, money into you, in your education, and in the project you are following. But why I'm talking about this partnership with College? Because I'm from September 18, intake of the college, which is the intake that came after August 18, when the bridge Morandi collapsed. And really this gave a huge impulse to the digital transformation, because we Autostrade needed talent almost instantly. And College provided those talents, 3 people, actually, me, Noemi, and Martina, and we were the second batch, actually, because Autostrade had also 2 people before, the year before, but now they increased to 3 people, creating a small team dealing with the first step of this digital transformation that Francesco was talking about, the organizational one, let's say. And we were working for Autostrade. And just to give you an idea, and then Francesco can help me to remember also, here at that time in 2018, we had Atlantia, which was controlling Autostrade per l'Italia, and then who had also Telepass, which is famous for, you know, automated tolling invoices. And in Autostrade per l'Italia, the whole group, we have Autostrade Tech, which is dealing with all the tech stuff, actually, and they are based in Florence. There was SPEA, which was one of the bigger engineering companies in Europe, and then there was Pavimental. Usually SPEA and Pavimental, they were actually building stuff, let's say, in easy way. Autostrade Tech was more on the tech side, and Autostrade per l'Italia was managing everything, right? So when I joined Autostrade in 2018, this was actually the picture. And we started with a really basic but really important project about digitalization of documents. But it was not just, you know, moving from online share folders to a more advanced tool. It was really trying to change the whole way people were dealing with documents. Even data coming from inspections, and that will be also, we will talk about this later because it's useful for the AI projects. But here we were really touching every part of the company. And this is a really, as I told you, we like to tell stories behind the digital transformation Autostrade. This is me, Noemi, and Martina in front of the office. Our very first day there, and we were always dealing with this tool on base, and we were really going to all business units inside Autostrade: finance, operations, HR, audit, everything, all the financial stuff, even legal stuff, you know. So it was really important because we had to talk with a lot of people, and we really had our, you know, skin in the game. On that side, we were doing our mission. We were really committed, and we struggle a lot because, you know, change it's not easy to change the way people got used to work, right? Because everybody was using this share folder files where had, you know, different names, final version 1, final version 2, final version, really final version. It was not efficient. Also processes, we had like handwritten signatures, but here we were trying to build a completely different model. Why? We were trying to give keywords to documents, and the document should, you know, have just one copy, and a lot of people should be able to modify it. A lot of people should be able to approve it, or to, you know, to give comments, more or less how Google is working right now, and Google Docs, Google Slides, and whatever. So this was really the very first step we were doing as a digital transformation inside Autostrade, starting from, you know, the organizational side. And then, since this project was going really, really good, the team became larger and larger, since we've been also a team of 7 people maximum. And just to give you an idea of how we were always brainstorming new ideas inside Autostrade, and we were also trying different ways to communicate, because digital transformation, one of the reasons, the main reasons why digital transformation usually fails is, you know, a lack of communication. Why you don't communicate that you are trying to change stuff and things inside the organization, usually things can get really, really hard. So that's why we developed this manual. This was the kind of instructions how to use OnBase, which was the solution we were developing. And really we printed it because a lot of people loved to print stuff. So we decided to, you know, to go one step closer to their way of learning. And so we created really a beautiful team, more also an intrapreneurial journey, I would say, because we were kind of a small startup and everybody was coming from CDI, from the college. So everybody was doing his or her mission and working, everybody, for this digital transformation. And then came the big project, the project that Francesco was talking about, which is Project Argo. I still have this picture coming from 2019, and we had the first kickoff meeting. And I still remember Francesco when he told me, you know, Edo, we have to do this project. I see really huge potential. I think this is one of the main projects that Autostrade will develop in the next years. But you have to help me trying to, you know, really make it happen. And I still remember the very first meeting for Project Argo, and we saw a lot of tech people that were involved, and they told me, you know, we are here because we want to know more. But they were, you know, not 100%. It was not 100% clear whether the company was going actually to realize this project, or if, I don't know, sometimes happens that projects inside a company just get, you know, deleted, or maybe people are just not working anymore there, or there's no enough sponsorship. So, you know, you see there's, as all the big changes inside the company start with some chaos at the very beginning, because we had a very strong sponsorship from the CEO, Tomasi. He was really committed into this digital transformation. And again, you know, every top-down approach needs really to be pushed, because the CEO can give, you know, the direction actually, but we managers have to push it inside the company, and we have to bring it inside the company. So again, you saw a 2020 slides, there are slides saying that the journey started on 2020, but actually you see how much work we had to do years before to actually be ready in 2020. And I still have some notes I took at that time, and I'm just translating from Italian, because we were focusing, me, Francesco, and the small team, we were focusing with IBM, who was the chosen partner for this kind of projects. Of course, Autostrade doesn't have all the ingredients, the technological also skills to build from scratch something like this. We needed IBM with us to help us with Watson, with all the technology they have, of course, and to help us also develop such a big project. And so we were focusing on streams, so, definition of use cases, classifications, asset classification. We were really trying to figure out the best way, the best model to classify all our assets. And we also had to deal with something called data strategy. So how we are actually implementing this, all the data collection and the sensors coming from the sensors for a future AI use. And also the problem of technology governance. Governance is really crucial after what happened actually, and for us was really one of the main reasons why we developed a documental system, and also we decided to go with IBM. And again, after we collected all the data, we started thinking about the sensors, and also we started thinking about how to monitor everything. And last but not least, we were collecting photos from our databases to give them to Watson to train the future neural networks that will, identify a crack or something that is missing, because it's not easy, to spot defects on such a big bridge. And this gives you an idea of what then we started doing, which is a digital twin of the bridge, because we wanted to map all the defects to do, predictive maintenance later. So when actually a crack, when we discover the crack, if the crack, becomes bigger, and so on. And then we had these, drones flying near the bridges, because usually we had the eye inspection from the inspectors, and having the help, of course, of a drone that can fly around every day to the bridge and collect all the defects thanks to AI, and also mapping in the digital twin was really crucial if you want to do this kind of improvement. And we always remember us that when we are trying to do something as this kind of digital transformation, which sometimes looks like a startup journey, which was, by the way, for the team that started everything, it's not just a single project, right? So we are happy to say that the whole company had always an ongoing commitment, right, to change radically how operates. And it's not about modernization. Okay, this is almost a bad word in this case. It's continual transformation, and the fact that Francesco was explaining that Autostrade still is evolving because they want to be the leader in 2025. Is suggesting this continual transformation, perpetual agility, and business discipline. And again, once you do this, once you understand that digital transformation remains a part of the company's core fabric, you understand that you actually never complete a project, right? You're always transforming and improving everything you're doing, right? So just to go a bit faster, I want to give you an idea on how we were trying to, to develop this project at the very beginning, with some project we call this project foundation streams, which is data strategy, technology governance, and security solution, right? To assure the security solution. Then we did many different use cases. You still remember a lot of afternoons and nights there to imagine, to try to design use cases and the asset classification. And we were also piloting. So we had some piloting streams because we were trying to do data strategy on asset management and on our IoT data capabilities with Autostrade Tech, which, by the way, now is called Movion. So changed the name and also changed the scope. But anyway, we were doing everything, to ensure that we could have the best sensors in the futures. And last but not least, which is also part of the scope of this webinar, the AI models, because we wanted to be sure that AI models were efficient, that they were actually, developed correctly, that were working correctly on a governance point of view, and also that they were reliable. Because there are false positive and false negatives, and if you're trying to understand the health state of a bridge, you must really ensure that you're doing it correctly, right? So we had these solutions called Maximo, thanks to IBM, and we had some goals. Which were firstly to collect all the data, then to train all the models, and now in 2020 to 2022 and in the future to actually start all the pilots, right? To start all the pilots. And today, you say, how is going today? So in 2020, actually Autostrade had this big investment plan until 2038. You see new names and the subsidiaries, which is Tecne, Free2X, Movion, which is the new rebranding, new name of Autostrade Tech. And so Autostrade also decided to start new companies, new companies to to new companies to face this big digital transformation, and also taking care of the sustainability side, because the Free2X, for instance, is taking care of all the charging solutions and columns along the highways. And you can do all of this without a big hiring plan. As I told you before, in the framework, also talents is crucial if you want to do something like this. And it's trying to create more than 2,100 new jobs and to 2024, at least as target. And just to wrap up things before some comments or questions, again, digital transformation is not something new, okay? But today is really crucial. It's a matter of survival. And it's the right time to start. And again, digital must mean value. It's not digital for digital, but it's digital for business. Okay. And again, we don't want to fall into the the innovator dilemma, right? We don't want to use all the metrics to measure new digital transformation and new kind of projects, right? Because if you use old metrics, old KPIs, and Francesco was speaking about KPIs, right? New kind of KPIs, because you need to measure something new, right? If you do it with old KPIs, then you're doing it wrong. And also the usage of data, this kind that are faster, real time, possibly, how as Autostrade is doing actually, is crucial. And also is beautiful to see how Autostrade changed its technology backbone, okay, with new technology, with new hardware, with new software, right? I was also part in my last 6 months in Autostrade of new way of working, embracing fully agile development, because new services needs new way of working, right? You need to change the way you are actually working to be able to do those kind of projects, right? And last but not least, digital transformation is done by people. So it's not just having AI there, but having also the right skills and the right people on board. So it's more a culture change that I'm really glad that we started in the headquarters in Rome in 2018, and I'm really happy to see how it's going after 4 years, actually. So today, there are 21 CDI fellows that work or are working actually in Autostrade per l'Italia World Group. So this is also an example of how a small partnership that started with a couple of people now is becoming really important and crucial as talent source for Autostrade per l'Italia.
Thank you very much, Edoardo, for excellent presentation. If you have any question, please write a message.
Even technical one, because I didn't go into that.
So,
the technical
thank you
side.
very much. Excellent, excellent presentation. I think it is crystal clear, so everybody understand what you tell. So there is no question. Thank you very much for that, actually.
You are welcome.
Yes, maybe,
yeah,
maybe if I can maybe if I can add some question. I was wondering, while you were talking about a little bit of a connection between what we have seen today and project management, actually. And I was thinking if to ask you if the project Argo can be useful also for the management of a project itself. So if it can be of help when you are on the construction side, for seeing, for example, for tracking the progress of the project. So if it is something that can be used also in the phase of construction or reconstruction, so actually when the project is coming. And I think that another really important connection that we have with project management is that it can help to understand when a project needs to be started, so when there is the need of an intervention. Yeah, but I was wondering, about the tracking of the progress side. So, Edoardo, if you have some comments about that.
I can give one comment, but I think also Francesco will have one on that side, because here you can see how we Autostrade is tracking the progress, tracking and managing the health status of what is already built, but also Autostrade can use BIM information, which is building information model, to track new buildings and new bridges and new tunnels that Autostrade is still, building actually. So I don't know if Francesco wants to spend a couple of words on this, but because also he was director of the building side of new bridges and new tunnels, so he knows very, very well how we can use these techniques, to monitor how far we are going, if we are, on time, late or early, usually late, right?
Okay, I just add something, and I have to thank you, Costanza, for this question, because I can answer with an example. Yes, it's sure that Project Argo will help also project managers, construction managers, and in Argo we will have also the story of all the construction actions that we are going to do in the future on our bridge, our viaducts, and all the infrastructure asset. A part of Argo is like a big database. Okay, I always make this equivalence. A bridge is like the human body. Okay, so like the human body, also bridges are going to have an age, and with this age they will have some disease. So you have to do ordinary maintenance every year, and you have to surveil and to monitor all the I don't know, I can say the symptoms of this disease. So, but in life, it comes the moment that you have to have a big work on the bridge, and Argo is a database that can store every information about this work and about the status, the statical status of the bridge after this work. Okay, you have to understand that one of the big difficulties that we have on our infrastructures today is that when they were constructed about 50, 60, 90 years ago, we don't have the project, the original project, the original design, okay? And we don't know how they construct them. And they have a technology that is very, very old respect to actual technologies. And in many of our infrastructures, we can have also construction fails. okay, construction failures, okay. And so we have to, with this project, with this database, Argo, in the next future, we will crystallize all the history of the bridge, and so we can also predict, for example, in the next 10 years or in the next 20 years, obviously due to the history of the bridge, so with the traffic, for example, also with the earthquakes or with the rain or with all the atmospherical agents that are the big enemies of our infrastructure, we can predict the right way of making maintenance. I don't know if I answered to your question.
Thanks a lot. Yes. I don't know if also Catherine.
I do. Yes, I do also have a question. Yes, I mean, if I'm just looking into the future, I mean, you're collecting all this data now. You have the digital twins on the bridges, so we could actually imagine that the projects that you're doing in the future to maintain and restore the bridges would be actually much more successful. Is that also something that you can already anticipate? Do you already have in mind where you could be maybe more efficient in those future projects? Have you thought about this yet? Because in a way, I think you're much clearer of what needs to be done. You know, there's less uncertainty when it comes to the restoration or renovation of the bridge. And I assume because of all the data you're collecting, you also have certain points where you know how much something costs or how many resources it would take, etc. So, what is your thinking about this?
Yes, what you say is right. I think that in the future, with this asset management system, we will be more efficient in our planning of maintenance action or construction intervals. You have to understand also that our infrastructure was built in an environment that was very different from the actual. Okay, mm-hmm. And so it's not only the natural diseasing of our infrastructure, but it's also the environment that changes, also the traffic changes, so the action mm-hmm. on our infrastructure. And with this new system, with all the sensors, with all the monitoring systems, we will collect a database that make us also capable to adapt our infrastructure in the next years to the changes of the environment. So mm-hmm. I just give you an example of what I say. Last week, we had a big earthquake just here in Genoa, where I am. It was only 3 or 4 seconds, but it was at the 4/5 degree of the Mercalli Scala. And we have here in Genoa the new bridge that substitutes the Morandi Bridge that collapsed in 2018. That is the San Giorgio Bridge. And on the San Giorgio Bridge, we have some new sensors that measures in a continuous way all the action of the vehicles that comes on the bridge. And so in that 3 or 4 seconds, we measure the strength of the earthquake, and it was about 30 ways more strong of the normal action of the vehicle. And those are important informations, because now we can test how the bridge in that moment, in that way, with that strength, reacts to this solicitation. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
And so we have an infrastructure that tell us more information than in the past, and we talk with the infrastructure. Okay, and this kind of talking each other is in this example is due to maintenance and or new constructions, but the talking of infrastructure is, in our vision, is also for mobility. You know, for example, when we talk about automatic vehicles, and we think to an infrastructure with sensors that exchange information with vehicles or other subjects.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have a couple of questions. Constanza, are you taking them?
Yeah, okay. So we have a couple of questions from home. So there is Azam that is asking, yeah, I think is asking, do we fall into mercy of IT, or can you tell us about the risk to mitigate during troubleshoot or maintenance of the AI itself? So I think that is asking if actually we need to monitor also the maintenance of the system of AI itself and how we do that. So I think that this is the first question. Yeah, and then we have a second question, so I can tell you also the second, so maybe you can split, and which is more related to decision making, and it is about how will AI help in decision making during the project, and in particular when you have some key milestone, how it can be of help. So for, as I said, for the progress of the project, you have to imagine that we have in the audience project managers. So actually they're asking for their job, their on days jobs. So these two questions.
Yeah, maybe I can answer to the first one, and maybe Francesco to the second one, which is more project management related. But I want to be sure to get right the first one. So, you know, usually in this case we have AI in many different, you know, aspects. So one aspect is, for instance, just to identify and to spot all the you know, all the disease that Francesco was telling for, right? Cracks, missing parts, change of colors, those kind of stuff, which is, by the way, pretty hard to spot usually, because if it's missing something, usually comes you don't know what's behind, right? Because sometimes behind there's iron, sometimes there's rust iron, sometimes there's other concrete, sometimes you don't know what is that, right? So it's not easy to spot and to measure actually that one. So every time you have to feed all your AI models with new data, so you have always, and there's always human in the loop at the end, because actually all the red flags that comes from the models are actually then inspected by humans. So actually you are always trying to, you want to always to give feedbacks on that red flags, right? To help the system to improve. So every time you're trying to in troubleshoot to maintain the AI, you need really to, you have humans there, right? So humans that have experience and they want to be sure that the system is behaving correctly. Of course, too many false positives are, you know, is not sufficient on that side, because you are really calling a lot of people to check it, right? But anyway, there's a trade-off on this, and they are taking care of this also at the IBM. But then I hope I answered the question. I'm not sure, but anyway, we can even maybe ask again. But then I will leave Francesco the second question, which is more related now on if AI will help project managers making decision during the key milestones, right? So in the future, we have key milestones, and will AI and all the data you're collecting actually helping project managers?
Yes, I think that with something I just tell in my speech, I just answered to a part of this question. Sure, it's true that artificial intelligence models and applications will help project managers, and it's not only directly on decision. I think that they will help mostly for the aspect of substitution of the human activities. It will help to increase, for example, the information about something that is useful for planning or for taking decisions. And another aspect is that if we increase the panel of informations, we are also in the conditions of have how can I say, the best list of priority, okay, for our in planning our maintenance activities. And the other aspect is an indirect aspect, and is that we are trying to modeling the reality. And so with artificial intelligence, we can make models that fits better to the reality. Okay, for example, if we think to the properties of materials, or what Edoardo says, for example, the status of our concrete or our steel or our bituminous conglomerate, etc. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I think that we can conclude the meeting. I don't know if Chetin, you want to say something to just conclude, so we can, I think we have provided some insight about the digital transformation project tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much for to Francesco and Edoardo, and also Catherine, Constance, and other friends who joined us during this webinar. I just want to remind you that we welcome you to join us, our group, and for the maybe better future. You know that the success rate is very low. The project success rate is very low. Or our effort is to increase success rate, which will save us a lot of time, money, etc., which is our world, where we living needs much, especially during this pandemic time, etc. I would like to thank again all of you. Thank you very much. It is very good presentation. Thank you very much.